It's been a few days since Delta Force released into the hands of over 100,000 players on Steam. The reception, however, seems to be mixed. While some players are pointing to issues with the kernel-level anti-cheat software or calling it an inferior clone of Battlefield 2042, others are focusing on performance problems, and that's exactly what I'll be diving into in this video. Now, I could talk about other aspects of the game, like the new loadout system that's been streamlined and improved, but honestly, none of that matters if the core gameplay is hindered by performance issues, something that affects the experience of most players, myself included. If we compare performance from the closed alpha to the current release of the open beta, the difference is almost non-existent. Personally, I haven't noticed any meaningful improvement in performance or optimization coming from the alpha and playing the currently released open beta. During the closed alpha, I provided feedback to the developers multiple times, hoping they would address the specific issue before launch. So what is that issue? Well, as many of you may know from my previous videos, I'm gaming on a laptop. Nothing too fancy, just a mid-tier setup. I've got a Ryzen 7 5800H paired with an RTX 3060, but my laptop, like many others, has something called Optimus. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what Optimus is, it's an NVIDIA technology that switches between integrated graphics and a discrete GPU like the RTX 3060. This setup helps save battery life by using the integrated GPU when not much power is needed by shutting off the discrete GPU. But it has a side effect, a performance bottleneck. The integrated GPU essentially acts as a bottleneck because the integrated graphics are connected to the display, while the discrete GPU is channeled through it. This can cause notable performance drops depending on the game. Luckily, most newer laptops let you bypass Optimus with a manual switch. However, on older models like mine, there's really only one solution: an external display. For me, that means using my old 1440p G-Sync monitor connected via USB-C to DisplayPort. This connection bypasses Optimus entirely and allows me to harness the full power of the RTX 3060, but here's where the problem with Delta Force emerges. When playing directly on my laptop, without the external display, the performance is horrendous. I'll have the gameplay up right now to show you what I mean. But we're talking about intense stuttering, freezing, and hitching to the point where the game is quite literally unplayable. Now, whether or not this is actually directly tied to Optimus, or it's tied to the broader performance issues AMD users have been complaining about, I can't say for sure, but it's definitely a problem that needs to be fixed. Going just beyond the Optimus issue that I experience, or what I think is the Optimus issue, Delta Force suffers from broader performance problems that seem to affect players across all types of hardware. Users, regardless of their PC specs, are reporting frequent frame drops. You can see it all over the Steam discussion board, on Reddit. This includes RTX 4090 users who are experiencing significant stuttering and drops in performance. When you consider the power of a $2,000 GPU, it's pretty alarming that it's struggling with a game that's ultimately intended to come to consoles and mobile devices as well. It feels like the stuttering, input latency, and overall performance instability aren't strictly tied to the game's frame rates. For instance, my frame rate averages around 80 to 90 FPS, with occasional dips to 60 FPS, but those drops still feel noticeably worse compared to other games running at the same 60 FPS. Even when I tried capping the frame rate to 60 FPS in an attempt to smooth things out, it didn't fix the issue. The stuttering and input lag persisted, which leads me to believe something deeper is going on here. It could be related to frame time inconsistencies or some other underlying issue that's affecting the game's performance. Whatever it is, it's not just about the frame rate, it's about the overall smoothness and responsiveness of the gameplay experience, which is sorely lacking. Fortunately, there's a potential solution on the horizon, of a weird workaround, if you will, for those of us using cloud gaming. Delta Force will be available on GeForce Now in January of 2025. This should eliminate any performance issues tied to your personal hardware, as the game will be running on NVIDIA's servers with like RTX 4080 level performance, assuming you're subscribed to the Ultimate plan like I am. Plus, cloud gaming means no more laptop fans spinning at full speed, and it also solves the kernel level anti-cheat problems, invasiveness that a lot of people have because it won't be installed locally. All that said, even though we're still technically in beta, there are concerns. The performance issues persist across both the multiplayer and the upcoming campaign modes. From the teasers and previews of the Black Hawk Down campaign, you can actually spot these performance hitches. And with the campaign's release slated for January of 2025 in line with GeForce Now, I'm starting to feel a little worried. Sure, there's an engine difference between the multiplayer and the campaign modes, but seeing performance issues carry over after all this time, especially when the developers over at Team Jade have talked so much about optimization, it doesn't leave me feeling optimistic that these problems will be solved anytime soon, especially for those of us on the laptops that have the issue that I have. I guess we have no choice but to kind of just sit back and wait and see what happens with future patches and updates. That's it for this video. I'd like to hear from you guys and your experiences with Delta Force so far. Are you facing similar performance issues? Do you enjoy the game? Do you not enjoy it? Do you not like the operators like I don't? Let me know in the comments below. I'm PepperBelly, and I'll see you guys on the next one.